Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm just so cold and tired. I want a really good cookie. So
They have an Oreo cookie at Crumble.
no. Like I want to make like a hot cookie equivalent.
Oh, maybe in a couple weeks.
Maybe I'll do it anyway. Welcome to another episode of Husbands Watching Housewives. I'm Scott.
And I'm Jeff.
And we just watched an episode of The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City.
Yes, we did. See part 2 of the reunion.
Yes. Sorry, I was thinking about that cookie I was going to make.
Like right before we go on, I'm going to make a good cookie. And I'm like, what?
No, so what you don't understand is Jeff's like, we have too many sweets. We shouldn't have more sweets. It's like sweets are what make life worth living.
Yeah, well, yes, to a certain extent. But like, it's a lot of sugar. It's a lot of like, weight gain.
We're fairly healthy 40-somethings. We can handle some cookies.
I don't know.
And just because you don't want the cookie doesn't mean I can't get the cookie.
Dude, if you make cookies and in the house, I'm going to eat the cookie.
Well, then you should have thought about a different husband, okay? That's all I have to say. You shouldn't deprive me of cookies just because you don't want them.
Why can't you just like eat them at your desk at work?
Well, I have to make them somewhere.
Yeah, and then you make them, and then you like...
Yeah, don't worry. And then you get all mad at me when I eat a disproportionate amount of the cookies that I make. You're like, well, what? You already had like 3 today. And it's like, well, yeah, you always want them.
You always do that too. It's okay, I don't want the cookies, but I do. And now they're in the house.
Look, you can't have it every which way. You can't.
They're in the house, and you're just like, you eat the majority.
See, look at this laugh and this look on your face. You know how guilty you are. I have you dead to rights.
Why is it funny? But you eat the majority of the cookies.
Right, because you don't want to eat them.
I do, but I don't.
Okay, also, you'll be like, well, no, only 1 per day. And then by the time we eat the entire batch, they're like, oh, they're all stale now.
So no, that doesn't happen. They'll get a chance to get stale because you eat them all.
Right.
You do eat them.
If I were to leave them on the schedule in which you want them eaten, they would get stale.
But you eat so many of them. It is like a 60-40 split.
Oh, it's more like a 70-30.
Yes.
And I don't care.
It's still a little rude.
They're delicious.
1, you're like going against my wishes and making the cookies. And then 2, you're eating them all.
Going against your wishes? Gosh, okay.
Oh, wow. I don't know why that's so funny.
Well, no, it's because this episode of Salt Lake was really, really heavy because
it was.
Once you got through the screaming and yelling, it was just a good, it felt like a half an hour. Half the episode was about Robert Jr.
Yeah, I think, it was really, it made me cry. Like everyone, like so much tissue coming out of that snowflake tissue box.
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
I got a little teary-eyed mainly when Andy got all choked up.
When his voice cracked.
Yeah.
That really, I wasn't, but I guess, because he has 2 kids and like, you can't even imagine that happening and like, facing that and like, what would you say to your child? And, for them to say like, I don't deserve to exist.
Mm-hmm.
It's just,
Yeah,
it's
don't want to hear that.
Before that, we basically... Like I wanted more of like watch your tone. Like I don't know. I just wanted Todd just to like pimp slap John Barlow.
See, so I would say that this first half is an example of a reunion where nothing satisfying happens.
Exactly.
Like they don't really get to the bottom of anything.
And nothing's resolved.
Like people like Bronwyn tried to explain that the affair was an emotional one that went slightly further than she would have preferred. Mm-hmm. And then Heather started getting in on, and all the women were saying, well, no, but like you were crying and you were saying it was infidelity. Like what gives? And they never really address it. They never really give you an answer one way or the other. And whether that's because Bronwyn and Todd backpedaled or whether, it is the way that she says it was, either way, it just doesn't feel satisfying. Like you want an answer definitively from preferably Bronwyn.
It was a lot of mixed things. Like I understood in the moment when that episode aired, I was like, I totally felt for Bronwyn and I didn't understand why other women weren't, fully supporting her, other women being Lisa and Meredith. And then when she kind of takes it back a bit, then I could see where they would say like, well, you accused me of not feeling for you, but now you're trying to make it as if it wasn't a huge thing. But then also when Bronwyn explains it, you know, and how she's like, he went further than I would like. And I feel like there was actually something to it, because when she mentioned that, when Annie said that Gwen caught him doing this, he got really emotional. Like, you can tell that relationship is very sacred between him and his stepdaughter. And for that to come out, he was just like, oh, I really messed up. And like, it involved our child. And he got really, like, she had to turn to him and say like, you're okay.
Right.
You know, so I get all of the points of view, even Lisa's to a certain extent. I didn't, and I guess Heather's to a certain extent, I didn't understand. Heather was really involved, like being like, I was there for you. And it's like, in that one episode. Just dial that back. And then I also don't understand why no one being
Lisa or Meredith
are holding Heather accountable for, like, she led the charge of like infidelity with the Barlows and the...
Well, when they showed the clip back, it was Whitney who really brought it up. But yeah, Heather didn't calm it down.
Exactly. Heather didn't say, no, that's not true. She was like...
Heather echoed, I think, what Whitney said by saying it's because they identify with the cheater, not the cheatee.
Yes. And I think, like, Whitney phrased it as like rumors of infidelity, but it really seemed like they were trying to say that there was actual infidelity in these two marriages. And Heather's like sitting right next to them, and they're like focusing on Whitney and Bronwyn and Angie. And I was like, the chick's on your couch. I know you're probably in a little pact, but like...
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Probably like, you know, we can do no wrong. We need to make sure that we make all of it.
I'm sure there was a meeting between the three of them, for sure. Not like a full-on, like, you know, like other cities.
Yeah, it wasn't a New Jersey plan.
Yes.
There was no manila envelope.
Or PowerPoint.
Well, apparently Meredith keeps some notes, some really wicked notes.
I mean, it's just like, these are the things that you said about me. And then I love production showing like, and these are the things you have said, Meredith.
Yeah.
You are, stop throwing those stones.
It wasn't an Angie who threw it back and said, well, what horrible things have you said about me?
Exactly. Like, stop throwing stones from your ugly rental. Andy was so serious with her, and she was so pissed off about it. Yeah. And I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, the whole she just hangs her hat on all the technicalities of lawyer speak.
It is.
Does anyone know what the word leverage means? And it's like, I'm telling you, my first boyfriend was the absolute worst with that. You could never have even a friendly debate with him, because he'd just be like, the definition of the word blah, 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 blah. And you're like, I'll just go all the way, screw yourself all the way off.
This is Merriam-Webster?
Yeah, Merriam-Webster. But yeah, it just, seeing Meredith do that all the time is, one, triggering for me, but two, one, how did I count like that? One and two, not one and two. Anyway, it just triggers me because it's just ridiculous that this isn't the court of law, it's the court of life. Quote me saying that. It's like, you know, things aren't as neat and buttoned up as you want them to be. So, you know, you can't sit there, and maybe Meredith does choose her words carefully, but it doesn't mean, and I think it's a ridiculous expectation for you to expect other people to do the same thing. So for her to fly off the handle because someone uses a word she wouldn't use and vice versa, it's ridiculous.
Like, if she had her druthers, they would have like listened to that entire podcast episode and like she would have dissected it and like taken her lawyer notes. Right. And it was like, the fact that she was like, I'm going to leave unless you do this. It's like, can you not?
I really wanted Andy to be like, well, bye. Okay. Fine.
Yeah, go to your dressing room and calm down because you're having a tizzy. Yeah. And like Steph was like, are we going? Are we going? Like, it was so dumb.
Yeah.
Like, and I feel like they were both proven, you know, true. Like, Angie was exonerated and so was Meredith. But like, Meredith was like, would not let it go.
No.
She's so humorless. That's the thing. Unless it's her joke.
Right.
Like, but if the joke is like aimed at her, she can't even like for a second be like, that was funny. It's like, no, that was really cruel. You talked about my this, you talked about my that. And it's like, no one was coming for your hearing aids. Okay. Right. It was a figure of speech, basically. And you're like, ready to like have like a cease and desist with this lady.
You're right. She is humorless.
She's so bothered by everything. How do you live like that? Like,
that's a good question. So
yeah.
heard the cat somewhere, but yeah, she's fine.
What do you do? Yeah, like how I don't understand. She's just so wound so tight. It's not fun to watch. And people were like, "Oh, Meredith's mother." I'm like, she's a mother something, but
yeah, she is just a little uptight. And that's the thing is, I'm sure in her own way, she's a relaxed, chill sort of person.
Probably with her family.
Yeah, and on her own terms, and
on her own terms.
But like, she's in a group of volatile, dramatic women, and for a reason. She can't just sit there and it's the whole I'm disengaging. I'm not engaging in this, and then wanting everyone escorted out, and it's just like no, you can't turn and run and hide every time.
And they're like, Meredith, don't go. And she's like, I've got my shawl on. I'm going to go.
I have my ski cap and my
like I'm ready to go to that wedding because I am the mother of the bride.
Right.
Shawl.
Jen shawl?
Nah.
Sir.
My gay son made this for me.
Right. And I'm not using that. I'm not using his community.
God, going round and round about that. I was like, can we stop?
And I do like that at least Andy was saying this is the stupidest thing we could be arguing about.
And she was so offended by that. Like, well, Andy. And I'm like, no, Meredith, just dial it down.
Yeah.
Like, you thought Andy was just like, you are irritating me.
Yeah.
I want to move on. And you were just like holding me hostage on this technicality. But the men didn't really bring much to it. Like, shut up, John Barlow. One, and shut up, Seth. You're dumb. You're so dumb.
He's
so dumb. I cannot stand Seth.
Yeah.
Like, he just irks the crap out of me. Still love Justin.
Yes. I think Justin and Todd and Shawn are my favorite.
Yes.
That whole couch can do no wrong.
Exactly.
I mean, they can do wrong, but You
know what I must say, and this will be surprising because I love Angie. I don't feel like Angie has had a lot of moments yet, maybe in part 3, to warrant first seat. Like, it just really feels like she just kind of like will be like, no, and like throw something out there. And there's been like some back and forth a bit with Lisa, but like, I don't feel like there's been a lot of energy, but maybe that just got cut out.
Yeah, perhaps.
Yeah.
But also,
I feel like Bronwyn was giving more.
Right.
And,
Speaking of which, that's why everyone loves her.
Oh my God, I loved that. That's why everyone loves her. She's a fan favorite. At least it's just like.
And then, they show Meredith looking very stoic, like, well, what am I?
Yeah. I had husbands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, I like that they talked about Mary and Angie's friendship. Mm-hmm. And I like that it kind of slowly dawned on everyone while they're like, Mary's like, Angie's such a good friend and I love her. And da-da-da-da-da. It was like, well, what about Meredith?
That's a Meredith like.
Yeah, just glaring, just like.
So glaring. I was like, what do you think? Yeah.
But I like that they brought up, Andy was, I'm not trying to start anything, but
I am.
But I like that they said that. I could tell Mary.
There's a pause, though, where she's like, let me not say something mean.
And she had to very much, like, I don't know what to say, so let me give you a hug.
Let me shut you up the hug. I think what it is that they don't hang out a lot, right. Meredith and Mary, whereas she and Angie are way closer in terms of like distance and talking all the time, and it's just not that same friendship with Meredith.
Right.
But I get what Meredith was saying. She, before Mary came back full time, she was the only one who was really consistently interacting with Mary. Mm-hmm. So she feels I could see her feeling I was a bit thrown over, thrown aside. But I don't think Mary used her. No. It was just like they were, that was a relationship then, and this is how it is now.
Right.
So.
Especially given, I think what Mary said was probably true, that like Meredith is out doing stuff a lot and Mary is not. Mary's in
or Mary's not in town.
Right. Exactly.
So, and she can't find her because it's like, what rental is she in now? And I'm not dogging rentals. I just think it's so funny how bothered Meredith is about talking about her rentals.
Yeah.
I've already told you.
Yeah. I have a winter rental. It's just like, okay. Like so many people do. But yeah,
sure,
but again, that's also denying or negating the fact that like she was brought on the show like under the guise of she was Salt Lake, mover and shaker. Like she's from Salt Lake, not from, but lives there. So that the perception, didn't marry up with the reality, and that's what people give her shit about.
Yeah,
but I don't really care whether they live there or not.
It's just funny. The light go out.
It did.
Oh,
apparently I didn't charge that one.
Oh,
there we go.
Okay,
see if that works.
Anyway. So yeah, on to the crying.
Oh, I mean, how much crying do we need to talk about?
A lot, Scott.
Okay.
A lot of crying.
All right.
A lot of crying.
I'm thinking about my cookie recipe while you do that.
No, it was really touching. It was really, everyone was affected. The open and honest Mary is great. Just getting all that and from her, and just, it was tough for her, obviously, but, I feel like it was just it was a very moving segment, and everyone shut up and just let it happen, and I liked that.
Yeah, it's good. And also, they just know that if they interrupt Mary at the wrong time while she's talking about something important to her, they will never be seen from again. Right.
Like sometimes you just gotta let it play out and just nod your head.
Now, I kind of got the impression again that it sounded. I think when they first went through it, Mary mentioned it, and then again now I think she mentioned that she and Robert kind of pre-planned this,
planned that they were gonna. Not that she knew what he was going to say,
right?
But they're like, we need to have a discussion about what's going on with you,
and it's going to happen on camera.
He agreed to have them come into his room and film, so he was prepared for that, but maybe not prepared for saying what he was going to say.
Right.
I.e., I feel like a stain. So I think that was it wasn't written.
No.
But I feel like it was definitely, and she didn't see it coming to that degree of the drug use.
Right.
But,
I mean, just, I'm not saying, especially as far as, I'm sure a lot of stuff is fully manufactured on these shows. I don't think this is one of them. But
it's guided.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, was something that, because the way she was talking about it, we talked if we could just help, one person and, help one person through. And then it ended up helping Whitney.
So I didn't even think about Whitney and her father and his addiction.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just, it's so sad that,
and she hasn't heard from him.
Doesn't have a relationship, and her kids don't have a grandpa. And, that was really rough.
And then when Heather said that, she had got to have a conversation with her kids about, a hard topic, made me think at first I was like, one of her kids is on drugs, but then I realized it's probably just a good opportunity for any parent to be able to, say, hey, if ever you are in a situation like this, you can come to me.
And not just drugs, but also just in your mental health. If you feel like you're struggling, please come to me. You can tell me anything. I don't want you to feel like you are worthy.
Yeah.
And
I wouldn't be disappointed. I would rather rather get you the help and rather help you than to see you struggle through this on your own. Yeah.
Right. Or even worse,
Unlike my mother, when I came to her, when I got diagnosed with anxiety, and she's like, you don't have anxiety. You've always worried a lot. It's like, Mom, that's called anxiety.
And then was she like, oh?
She's like, no, you're fine. I'm like, does it run in the family? Can you think of anyone else in our family who worries a lot? And she's like, now you think about it. So, no, my mother was wonderful.
Yes.
And not by no means my anxiety in any way related or, akin to someone's heroin addiction and opiate addiction. So those are two totally different things. But mental health.
Yes.
That's where that came from. So,
did anything...
See, I'm telling you, this was such a heavy topic.
Yeah,
it's hard to dip into and then back out of. I
mean, basically, it was the Bronwyn and Lisa thing, the husbands, and then the Shawn and Meredith of it all, and then Mary and Robert Jr., and then into Meredith, and then we're done.
Yeah.
That was basically it.
I think looking at the women on the board, I think we've got them all. We get to see Brittany next week.
Oh, it's Brittany, bitch.
Yeah, we get to find out how Lisa Barlow might have been human trafficked and no one would have known.
I mean, I don't even know I would ever think to to throw that out there.
That really, I mean, I hope I don't have to eat my words next week, but that sounds like the sort of like attention-seeking thing someone would say. Like, just trying to like say something shocking and whack you over the head with it, So I'm assuming she's being hyperbolic when she says that. It's not about anything real.
Yes, I would assume so. I think it's like they had 6 kids. They weren't focused on me. I think maybe because like back in the day you would say like I would be kidnapped, but now, that's what we knew about trafficking back in the day.
Right.
So, but both, of course, horrible.
Awful, yeah.
Yes. But it was a very weird thing, and like the cut to Heather's face of like, whoa.
Yeah, I think everyone is probably going to recognize it's just a weird thing to say.
Yeah.
So I'm interested, but I'm hooked. I want to see.
Yeah, no, I say it.
Yeah.
Say it.
So, it's good. Continues to be good, and next week will be good. And we're gonna make cookies this weekend.
We're not making cookies.
We're not making cookies.
No, we're not making cookies this
Well, we can't
weekend.
make a cake. It takes too many eggs, and eggs are expensive.
We need actually more eggs. Like, really, we're down to 2. This is riveting, people.
Hey, I bet people want to know all about our grocery habits, okay? Jeff times the eggs out. He plans out how many he needs for his breakfast every morning.
Yeah. Well, not every round.
But every 2 weeks we get a dozen eggs.
Yes.
I was looking into it. Maybe we should get 18 eggs.
Is that like a better deal?
No, I looked at it. They're pretty much the same price. There's just 6 more of them.
Well, we'll see what they are at Safeway. It's like been fluctuating, right?
Yeah. It was like $7.49 last week. Also, you need to be open to different types of eggs. Like,
I like a traditional white, but like I eat
same egg
brown
inside. Why are you egg racist?
Is this an analogy or an allegory?
An analogy.
Okay.
Yeah. And so maybe these eggs do circle jerks too. And maybe they're eggs children do coke in the bathroom.
I love how Annie was like, it was an analogy. Oh yeah, that's an analogy. And she
yeah.
Just stop using analogies.
Housewives should not use analogies. I'll stop using analogies, and we'll do this next time.
Till next time.